Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That is Kevin. We are on the Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. It's us and it's Anthony and John over at OBI. And we are on the Believe Network. The channel is called Believe in Cincy, BLEAV. In Cincy, it's us, it's OBI. Again, with John and Anthony, it's Matt and Willie No Ball, and then it's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. Great football content pretty much every day, even in the off season. Check it out, like, subscribe, follow, the whole shebang. Kevin, what's going on, buddy?
Nothing. This is completely off topic, but I'm very worried that the sound of my phone's pop socket just a second ago sounded like a fart. So I want to make it clear that that wasn't a fart if it came over the microphone. I guess
I didn't hear
your reaction.
I didn't hear.
I
didn't hear
closed it
anything.
and I went, that sounded exactly like a fart. So
well,
just needed to
for
clear
anyone,
that up. Anyways, the
for
NFL
anyone
draft.
listening or watching, if you did hear it, it's probably a fart. But I didn't hear anything.
No fart.
So
Not
okay,
fart.
no farts. All right. Yeah. So the NFL draft has come and gone. So last week we talked a little bit about it. We went through, we ranked different guys, like 17 guys, I think 15 guys actually, that we thought they could take with the number 17 overall pick in the first round. They did select one of those guys. And then they went on to select one guy in the next few rounds. They had 6 picks, one in each round of the first 6 rounds, no 7th round pick, because that went to Chicago for the running back.
Khalil Herbert.
Thank you. Overall, I think that I don't know if I've seen a draft class have more guys, just as many guys say F as A. It's weird. Like this is, you know what I mean? Like usually when you see a draft class, it's like, hey, that's really good. And that's the consensus all the way across the board. Or, hey, that's not good. And nobody really likes it. You know what I mean? But I've seen guys who really like what the Bengals did. I've seen guys who hate what the Bengals did.
Yes.
I've seen people say it's the worst draft of the year. No one said it's the best, and I don't think it was the best. But like, I've seen people give it like
I've seen
B.
I've seen it the top
B,
10.
A-. Yeah, top 10.
Yeah.
And I think that you probably look at it, and I think that my guess is the way you feel about it is kind of the way that you felt about the team heading into the draft. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not overly like a pessimistic person. I know you're not like an overly pessimistic person. I think it would be hard to be a Bengals fan and just be negative all the time, because there's so much negative crap with the Bengals in general. You have to look, you have to be hopeful. You have to be hopeful, because if you're not, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing here? I personally, I really do like what the Bengals did overall.
Well, before we get into this,
okay.
I do want to say one thing, which is that I think that part of the reason for the very, very different draft grades is that the idea of grading the draft as a whole with one metric doesn't really make sense to me. And here's what I mean by that is, to me, there's 2 grades for the Bengals here. There is how well did they maximize the draft?
Okay.
And if I was going to grade them on that metric, I'd give them a pretty low grade. I don't think they maximized the draft very well at all. I think that there were positions of need that they should have attacked in different areas in order to get consistently better players with higher ceilings.
Okay, I agree with that.
If I'm looking at the draft and I'm saying, do I think they got good players who can play an early role, then I'm giving them like an A or a B. Because I think they have multiple starters here. And getting 2 or 3 starters out of a draft, especially year 1, is kind of all you can hope for. So I think that's the reason. So when you say, like, did the Bengals have a good draft? You need more information before you can answer that question.
You do.
What are you asking me? Are you asking me, do I like the players? Or are you asking me, do I feel like they maximize their opportunities? 2 very, very different grades for me.
Yeah, and it should be absolutely different, because if you looked at the Bengals and you compared, like, took a consensus big board, the average big board of where every player was, and then you looked at the Bengals draft, you'd be like, oh, hey, I feel like everybody here was overdrafted. And they probably were. They probably were, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. But they fit a need the Bengals need right away, and I agree with you. There are multiple, maybe even, I don't know, 2 starters, 3 starters, and 2
We
starters
have
and
3 starters, period. One of the 2
okay.
linebackers, one of the 2 guards, Taj Brooks and Shamar Stewart.
Okay, yeah. Yep, you're right. Yep, 3
So I
starters.
would say a minimum of 3.
Yeah. And then a couple rotational players. I envision all 6 of these guys making the team and taking snaps, you know,
Yes.
maybe not starting, but at least special teams and rotational snaps. I like what they did. I really do like what they did. I think that they reached for a couple guys that they liked that fit what they want to do in the first, in the second and third rounds, but I also think those guys would not have been there had they waited. There's no way. I don't think there's any way Demetrius Knight's there in the third for them. I don't think Dylan Fairchild's there in the fourth for them. So I like what they did. They saw what they liked. They had these guys, listed above some other guys that were there, and they went with guys they liked. Well, I mean, overall, before we start breaking down, like pick by pick,
Yeah.
overall, like if you're going to give it a grade, what's your grade?
Well, I'm not going to give it 1 grade. I'm going to give it 2.
Right.
It's,
Okay.
I'd be a hypocrite if I did
Yeah.
backpedal on that now. But I give it a B+ and a D, solid D.
Okay.
B+ for I like the players, a solid
Yeah.
D for they probably could have gotten better players.
Right. Okay. So you mean like had they gone a different direction in the second round with Tate Ratledge in the
Tate
second,
Ratledge.
you think
Yes,
that
which
there's
I
a
think we
better
were all holding
player?
our breath during that pick.
Right.
We all thought it was going to be Tate Ratledge, or
Right.
if you're like me, you wanted it to be Tate Ratledge and knew deep down in your heart that it
It's
was
not going to
never
happen.
going to be,
Yeah.
because the Jackson Carman fiasco destroyed us
I know.
as far as drafting a guard is concerned, and we all know that's never going to get remedied. But
No.
anyways, yeah, there's Winston, the safety of the third. There is I feel like there was a lot of linebackers you could have gone for 4 through 6
Yeah.
that still bring a high level of talent to the team. Nowhere near what Demetrius Knight's bringing. I don't think so. But still a high level of talent. So the value would have probably been better there. But I'm less interested in critiquing that than I am talking about these players and how they
Yeah. Oh, me too.
can benefit the team. There's been a lot of negativity.
Yeah.
Not saying it wasn't unearned.
Right.
But I'm just not interested in that at this point. You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. I would much rather discuss the potential that each 6 of these guys brings to the team, how they could fit in, uh, you know, what, what they could just bring even to the culture, anything. You know what I mean? I have no interest in picking this whole draft apart and saying, "Hey, look at these 22 guys I would have rather had in the 17 rounds," because we have really no idea. Tate Ratledge could be absolutely terrible. We have no clue. We really don't. So yeah, you want to go through the picks?
Yeah, we're
One
just
by
gonna
one?
give our quick opinions, right? Like
Yeah.
we're not doing stats and everything else. If you want full
No.
breakdowns, you can find those a lot of other
Somewhere
places than
else.
here. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
first pick I think is the most divisive.
yeah,
Is Shamar
I
Stewart.
agree with that. Yep.
You are watching what happens to me every season. Go back and see what I had to say about Stewart in the last
Yep.
episode. And now
Yep.
listen to me waffle on that a bit as I slowly convince myself over the offseason that Stewart's going to be incredible and he is going to
Yep.
be the thing that saves this team. Because the more I look at him, the more convinced I am that the sacks don't matter, at least not as much as we wanted them to. The way he was used at
Right.
Texas Tech was really not any help to him as far as those numbers are concerned. They had no interest in queuing him up for sacks. And he is so disruptive. It feels like if they had cared, his numbers probably would have been better. Plus, Micah Parsons came out and said that he had like 5 sacks in college and said that Shamar Stewart's going to be a problem. And that's good
Yep.
enough for me. So
Yep.
check back in 2 months when I'm convinced he's the reincarnation of Myles Garrett.
Yeah. It's a Hall of
And
Famer
that's just
already.
what happened. That's just what happens to me.
Yeah.
I'm a homer. I'm a homer.
It's got a
at
great
heart.
number. It's got a great
And
number.
if
It's
he
taking Geno
disappoints me, I'll
Atkins.
turn on him at like week 8. But
Yeah, there you go. He's got a great number. He's got Geno Atkins' number 97.
yes,
Taking number 17
that,
overall. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I know he knows now. Do you think he knew when he selected it? Because
I don't
man,
know.
that's a lot to live up to.
It is. It is big shoes to fill. I would say the biggest defensive shoes to fill outside of Jesse Bates in a long, long time in Cincinnati. Bigger than DJ Readers ever were. Bigger than anybody. Anyway, taking number 97, he was number 17 overall. He is a freak of nature.
Real quick, I'm punching back just real quick on that.
Sure.
Every time a wide receiver, our wide receiver one is left, it always has big shoes to fill, but it feels weird because they've always been instantly and successfully filled by the next guy.
That's because
Chad
the
Johnson
Bengals
to
are
AJ
really
Green
good.
Yeah.
The Bengals know wide receivers.
So, oh, they really do, but it's just wild how instantly let's go get a new wide receiver one. That's not a problem.
Yeah. When Jamar Chase retires, I'm not worried about it because the next Jamar Chase is going to be in the wings. Like, oh yeah, hey, look, it fell to the Bengals at number whatever in the next year's draft. Perfect. He's the next best wide receiver in the NFL because that's just what we do. Wide receiver. Yeah. Anyway, I think. Well, hold on a second. Shamar Stewart is an athletic freak, which is not something you can teach. He's got a longer wingspan than LeBron James. I don't know if you knew that or not, which is wild.
I read that.
So he's got these crazy long arms that help keep him separated from, keep the offensive tackle from providing that punch with their pass block. He can do things that cannot be coached physically. That's just the size and speed and athletic ability he has. He does things that cannot be coached. Did he lack production at Texas A&M? Yes, but I also agree with everything that you said. You know what I mean? That production at the college level doesn't mean anything. At the next, at the pro level, it can be an indicator sometimes. But like what Micah Parsons said, you know what I mean? He's one of the best edge rushers, pass rushers in the NFL. I think Shamar Stewart has a very high floor. I think he has a very high floor.
He's so athletic, he almost can't be a failure.
Right.
He might not live up to his first round draft stock.
No.
But he almost can't be a failure.
Just no one's ever going to
freak. That alone will carry him to some level of success.
He's going to be a great run defender at the edge position. He's going to be, hopefully he develops into a great finishing pass rusher. But if he doesn't develop into a good finisher, hopefully he just helps other guys. Gets back there, forces the quarterback to step up in the pocket a little earlier than he wants to. That's all disruptive. You know what I mean? All that stuff is disruptive. Sure. Just because it doesn't say sack doesn't mean. How many
times have we said that Trey Hendrickson would have 50 sacks on the year if he could get any kind of pressure from anywhere else in that line?
Yeah, I know.
If all Stewart does this year one, is funnel players toward Hendrickson, I'm fine with that.
I know.
Those sacks totally count. You know what I mean? Those sacks are generated partially by him.
Yep. Or think of all the how many interceptions have you seen because the quarterback and the wide receiver were forced off their timing?
Oh, sure.
Just because he's like, I got to throw it early. I don't have a choice. Yep. You know what I mean? That happens all the time. Those are huge plays. That's because you have guys that can rush the passer. Okay. Enough about him. Oh, I do think he starts. Day one, I pencil him in opposite Trey Hendrickson starter.
I think it'll be a rotation at first. This is the last thing. Where Hendrickson on one side, Osai, Stewart, maybe some Murphy. Yeah. We'll see how it all shakes out. But he absolutely is going to get significant snaps from day one. It's just a matter of percentage. Anyways, round 2, we selected Demetrius Knight. Jason.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Demetrius Knight?
So I think that there was some shock at first. I was expecting Tate Ratledge. I don't know why I was. It all lined up. Like they got their defensive end, and now here comes the guard. We need a guard, and Tate Ratledge is there, and we've been talking about Tate Ratledge for months, and then they take Demetrius Knight, who I wasn't even on the radar for maybe them at all or the second round. It's hard not to love him. Absolutely. It's impossible not to love the kid. 100%. Worked his way through college doing DoorDash and stuff like that. Said he didn't want to sit out of his bowl game with South Carolina because he wants to teach his kids like they got to finish what they start, stuff like that. Says he's a hunter on the field. He's that rah locker room guy that everybody gets behind. You know what I mean? I don't think that he was the best available selection for them at 49, but I love it because he's not there. Yeah. He's not there in the third round. They needed a linebacker. I think that this is an upgrade over Pratt. But it's so much more than that. It's just the attitude that he brings to the defense is not something that we have at all. Maybe not since, I don't know, Perfect. You know what I mean? He's got potential. I don't. He's not, the most athletic guy in the world, but I think he's going to be
He's
good. I do.
fast, dude.
He is very,
Demetrius
very
Knight
fast.
is
Yes.
very fast.
Yeah. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to pair well with Logan Wilson. Again, I think that there are other guys they could have taken that are better overall players, but I think this guy has potential to fit in Al Golden's system season one again as a starter next to Logan Wilson and just be great. Not great. I don't want to say great. I don't want to put great on anybody. Any rookie that steps in and is great right away, that just doesn't happen really ever. But can step in and be better at that than the Bengals were last year.
Here's another point, right?
Okay.
I agree with everything you said about Demetrius Knight. I think he's gonna be a tone setter on the linebacker room. I think he's gonna be a tone setter in the locker room. I like his personality. He seems like a very nice guy, and he seems kind of like a nightmare on the field.
Yeah.
But when drafting somebody, you have to look at a few different things, right? You have to look at the upgrade you get.
Yeah.
So it's not just about how good is this player, because if you were to draft an incredibly good left tackle, how big an upgrade can that possibly be from Orlando Brown? Even a position like left tackle, it's a premium position.
Right.
It's not going to be that big an upgrade, if an upgrade at all.
Right.
The linebacker room was decimated.
Yeah.
We went to the Super Bowl partly because of great linebacker play. It is something this team relies on and leans on. And you can, and I have, say that linebackers don't matter in the modern NFL, but unfortunately for us, people with that opinion, they actually matter to the Bengals quite a bit. The way they play football.
Yeah.
So Demetrius Knight, while maybe not the best pick, you could argue is one of the best picks for the Bengals with how much of an upgrade it brings to a very specific position on that team.
Yeah.
That's the sunny side of this, in my opinion.
I do think that a part of the reason that the linebackers played so well in 2021 and 2022 was DJ Reader. I really do. DJ Reader, such a force in the front of the line. He soaks so much these blockers up that leaves them to be free. Jermaine Pratt demanded a trade. This all but pretty much solidifies like he's gone. I just don't see a way that he moves forward on this team. Whether he's cut or trade, I don't know. But I do think that Demetrius Knight's an upgrade at that position. Yep. So that takes us to the third round, where the Bengals did address the offensive line, where they took Georgia guard Dylan Fairchild. This was a pick that I didn't have to convince myself to like. I like this pick right away. I really, really did. Okay. Fairchild is a pass blocker. That's Fairchild. That's just what he does. So this is on PFF, but 797 something pass blocking snaps at Georgia as a starter over the last 2 years. He's allowed 1 sack per PFF, which is pretty incredible. Big and strong. He is just one of those guys that I think will step in as a natural pass blocking upgrade at right guard. I don't think he's going to be the best run blocker, but I don't really think that matters much when your quarterback is Joe Burrow. When the offense flows through the quarterback, I mean, obviously you want him to be a good run blocker and a pass blocker, but if I had to choose between one of the two, I'm going to take pass blocker 100% of the time because
that's the choice you have to make in round 3. It's round 3,
right?
Well, round 3, you're going to get somebody who can do one side of a job, and hopefully you can train them up to do the other side of the job. We'll see. Right. But I agree, as far as like a pass blocker is concerned, I'm not worried about him. He'll be bad for the first 8 weeks. He'll be okay for the next 8 weeks, and then he'll be good next year. That's part of the problem with not addressing this in free agency is all linemen are bad for the first year. Even Mims wasn't great. He just showed a lot of potential. So, but that's a different conversation. I do like the pick. I also like the later pick of Rivers, but we'll get to that in a second. Now we have round 4, Barrett Carter. I knew very little about Barrett Carter before this. He is an athletic freak. He is absolutely going to be a core special teamer. I think there's a chance he fights his way onto the field a not insignificant amount of time just because of his athleticism. But I think special teams is where we see him mostly year 1. What about you?
I agree with that. I do want to say some stuff that Al Golden said about him. First of all, he has a 4.0 GPA through college, and I know it doesn't matter in the NFL, but just
It absolutely
you know,
matters.
well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to work hard at all aspects. You know, you like to
That's
see
why it
that,
matters.
right?
People need to be smart. Yes, the whole dumb football player thing has never been accurate. But
Right.
that kind of stuff, it's the same reason that like I love that Demetrius Knight is doing Uber Eats. These
Yeah. Oh,
people
yeah.
know
Yeah.
how to work. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
They know how to
Right.
do the stuff that isn't celebrated on the field. They know how to do
Yeah.
the like Demetrius Knight is doing the dirty work. Not that Uber Eats is the dirty work, but for
Right.
somebody shooting for millionaire status, which is what he is now,
Yeah. You
like
don't see that
you don't
that
see that
story
attitude a
often in
lot.
college football. No, you don't. You think a lot of these athletes have had things handed to them their entire life because everybody knows, like, oh, hey, you're going to go. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to go
Yes.
play and be rich one day, so everyone's just kind of hanging on and let you do your thing. But it is no, I do really like it, and that's the other thing that Al Golden said about Carter is that he was one of the quote more authentic interviews I had at the combine. As far as the pick, it was another unwavering moment. He's a cultural creator.
Yeah.
So yeah, fourth round. You know, like day 3 picks. It's not like you can't find a stud in day 3 because Geno Atkins was a day 3 pick. He's a fourth round pick. You can absolutely find starters in every single round. You can find starters in, as undrafted free agents. But in the
Like
fourth
Hilton.
round, yeah, exactly. In the fourth, fifth, especially fifth, sixth, and seventh rounds, you have a little bit more flexibility. You don't have as much money invested. You don't have as much anything invested. And I think in general, if you're looking for a starter in the fourth round, you're in way too much trouble to worry about worry about
Yes.
the Super Bowl or anything like that. So I think a lot of these guys, I could see maybe the first 3 rounds, the Bengals saying, hey, we got Shamar Stewart, our edge guy. We got a linebacker that we like. We got a guard that we like. And we understand maybe we've reached for all 3 of those guys or 2 of the 3, but we like them. I do think at this point in the draft, they start grabbing guys that I think are like show a lot of upside, a lot
Yes.
of good value at this point in the draft. So I do
Yes.
think,
A lot of hit in year 2 and year 3. This is what they're
yeah,
shooting for.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I like that pick. And then that brings us back to the offensive lineman you were talking about, Jalen Rivers out of Miami of Florida with
Yeah.
pick number 153. So he's going to be versatile. He played guard, plays tackle. He kind of has that inside outside versatility that I
Yeah.
think the
He
Bengals
also has
really,
left right
really value.
ability.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. He has that versatility, and the Bengals have always seen versatility, especially in their backup offensive lineman, is this huge thing. If you think of Cody Ford, he's started for us at left tackle, left guard, right tackle, maybe. Hakeem Adeniji was a guy that played inside outside. Jackson Carman was a guy they liked a lot that played inside outside. So it's a trend. This is a Bengals thing, a guy that has tackle guard versatility. But I do like Jalen Rivers a lot. Just an athletic guy, big guy. I don't think he'll start, but I think
I do.
he'll be. You do
Yes.
not this year. This year,
I think there is a 50-50 chance he starts this year.
really?
I think Jalen Rivers is very talented.
Do you
I
think
think
he's
this
going
is
to?
maybe the steal of the draft.
Okay,
As far as like we'll consider it the steal of the draft a year or 2 from now. I think
okay,
he is with a little refinement to his technique. I think he is as good as Cordell Volson. Um,
okay,
and I absolutely think he could fight his way into a starting spot. If not week 1,
yeah,
then week 8,
okay,
where it's clear Cordell Volson has not taken the step that we
right,
keep for some reason thinking he's going to take every year, and they're going to try him in there because I think he's more athletic. I think he moves better. I think he absolutely
okay,
starts. Not absolutely. I think there's a pretty good chance he starts at some time this year. And
okay.
once he gets to that position, he's not letting it go.
I hope.
I think he's a very good prospect.
I mean, if he's a very good prospect and if he does start eventually, and that's all great. I hope you're wrong personally, just because that means that the left guard or whoever, what's going on at left guard or whatever position he takes over, has either had the injury bug bite or worse than that, in my opinion, is they suck. And the Bengals still have sucky guards after a
Cordell
whole
Volson
offseason.
sucked last year.
Yeah, he did
So
suck. He did suck last year.
I
All right.
could see our starting guards being drafted Dylan
this year.
Fairchild and Rivers. By
It's
the end
not
of this year, there are 2 starters. Yes, I could
it's
see
not
that.
crazy
Absolutely.
uncommon. It's not crazy uncommon to have interior lineman starters go day 2 and day 3 in the draft. Happens all the time, just because they're not valued like tackles are, because edge rushers is where the most pressure comes from. When
Yep.
they start pumping out Aaron Donalds, every year in the draft there's a new Aaron Donald, they'll start paying guards and centers like they deserve to be paid. Until that happens, it's going to all be on the offensive tackles. All right, so that brings us to the last guy. In the 6th round, they traded Taj Brooks, running back out of Texas Tech. I really like this pick a lot.
Yes.
He's like a dump truck, 220 pounds. I think he's 5'9".
He is 5'9".
Yeah, 5'9", 220 pounds. He's like, I'm trying to think. Muscle Hamster is the name that I know him by, and I know that's not his real name, and I know he probably hates that nickname. Who was Muscle Hamster? But yeah, he has like a very typical between the tackles. I'm gonna hurt you, and then I'm gonna run. You know what I mean? The first guy that hits me is not gonna bring me down, and I think that's a dynamic of the running game that we didn't have before this. It's the exact opposite. I feel like of Chase Brown's just lightning, you know what I mean? And now this is the thunder. I could see an awesome 1-2 punch combination between Taj Brooks and Chase Brown that completely makes us forget about Samaje Perine and Zach Moss.
I absolutely agree. I think Taj Brooks is kind of a testament to the depth of this running back class.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's there round 6 in a lot of other drafts. I think he goes
No,
4.
I don't think so at all.
I'm not saying he's like some generational talent. I'm not claiming he goes round 2. But I do think he goes a full round or 2 ahead of where we got him in a different draft. I also agree that he is the perfect complement to Chase Brown. Not just because of his ability to that guy who you need a yard, he'll get you a yard. We don't have that right now. But also because his speed and his athleticism isn't lacking. So you can run the same offense with him out there as you can Chase Brown.
Yep.
Just let him use that speed once or twice a game to keep him honest.
Yeah.
And it will not be like what happened if we were to put Perine out there this year, where Perine goes out there, it's 100% either a passing down or he's going to try to charge up the middle for a yard. Those are the only 2 options, like because Perine's getting older and everything else. Taj Brooks can disguise the offense well being out there because while not as good, he possesses many of the same skills, speed-wise as Chase Brown at 80%. But 80% is not bad, man. Like Chase Brown's fast as hell.
Yeah, 80% speed of Chase Brown is still really fast. Really fast. And I just looked it up. Doug Martin, Muscle Hamster.
There you go.
5'9", 223. Basically same guy, 5'9", 220. Just a powerful punch in a small little package.
Yep.
That just runs
we
things
need it,
over.
Man. We really do. Yep. We need somebody in them goal line situations. Even if Burrow still wants to throw, we need somebody who can threaten it.
Yeah.
And we do not have that.
I agree. I think running back was kind of a dark horse need in this year's draft class. And had they not selected a running back, gone with anybody else here in the 6th round, I'd be looking at free agents right now going like, they maybe need another guy. You know what I mean? I really like Taj Brooks. I think on day 3, this is my favorite pick. The last pick, Taj Brooks. What about you?
Jalen Rivers. I am higher on Jalen Rivers than you are. Which makes sense. Not saying you're low, but you know what I mean? I think he's going to be really good. So Jalen Rivers, like every year my daughter watches it with me. She's just turned 11. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been building like draft boards on poster board and I put them up on the wall and just try to keep her interactive and in part of it. As players go off that are on my boards, I tell her, he's gone, go cross him off.
Yeah.
And then I have a board of my guys who are always late round picks that I think are going to go 4, 5, 6, but are going to have the starting level talent. And Jalen Rivers was one of the top ones on that list. So I think he's going to be great, and that's my favorite pick of day 3.
Okay, I can totally see.
But Taj Brooks is great too.
I just want to ask you 2 questions. What's your favorite pick overall of the draft? Is that your favorite pick just because of the value?
No, that's hard, right?
It is.
My favorite pick is probably Demetrius Knight, and that's entirely emotional, not logical.
No.
I did not know,
That's what I was going to
I did
say
not
too.
know. Okay. I did not
Yeah,
know who he was like as a person.
I
And
know.
I've seen a few interviews, and he is
Yep,
instantly just crazy likable. Like
yep,
he's like, he just
100%.
strikes you as like a good, like quality guy that I
Yeah,
absolutely want to be like a staple member of this team.
no,
Um,
totally
just for
agree.
reasons about who he is as a person, let
Yep,
alone that I think his play is going to be at a high level.
totally agree. When I was expecting you to say, I don't know who I was expecting you to say. I wasn't expecting you to say Knight because I think more people complain about that pick probably than any other pick, and that's the one I was going to say too. Is Demetrius Knight is just I've just absolutely gotten just huge man crush on him all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Just awesome dude. I've never met the guy, and it's just like, oh yeah, man, that's the guy that you follow into battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you want linebacker. So I'm pumped about that one. You got anything else, man?
No, that is it.
Yep.
It's not as bad a draft as people act like it is.
Yeah.
And we need to stop. I don't know how to put this without being like a downer. This is the last thing I have to say about it. We as a fan base need to stop expecting the Bengals to behave in ways the Bengals have never behaved.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
until like they show us they've changed something, which does happen occasionally.
Yeah.
We need to stop going into drafts expecting that it's going to be
Yeah.
different.
I
Bengals
agree.
don't value things the same way we do. They have a sunk cost fallacy to a ridiculous degree. This idea that they were going to grab a defensive tackle, I think they should have.
Yeah.
But they drafted 2 last year. And signed 1 at nose tackle this year. That's their investment. They're not going to keep
Right.
doing it. And they've always seemed to value players in rounds as opposed to in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
kind of board, where Demetrius Knight was a round 2 talent for them. I think he was probably a round 2 talent for a lot of teams, but he was
Yeah.
in the mid to late 20s kind of a talent.
Right.
If it was round 1, but like I
Right.
guess like
Right.
60s
Yeah.
talent. Where for the Bengals, he's a round 2 talent, so they have no issue grabbing him.
Right.
I just
Right.
think that's the way they do business.
Yep. And it's incredibly hard to judge any of this stuff right now. They haven't taken a snap on the field. I don't really think that you can accurately grade a draft class until they're almost through with their rookie contracts. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Just because how many guys come in every single year that you're sure are going to be great and they're terrible, and then guys you never heard of that nobody paid any attention to in college because they figured they wouldn't be drafted, somehow sneak onto a team in 7th round and they're starters. You know what I mean? So happens all the time. Why can't it happen here? So, yeah, I'm pumped. I do like it. I do like what I saw. I'm excited to see, how they start fitting in when the off-season training program starts. So,
Yep.
which is coming up soon. Um, Once again, we're on the Orange and Black Insider on YouTube. It's us and it's Anthony and John at OBI. And then we are on Believe in Cincy. That's the channel name on the Believe Network. It's us, it's OBI, it's Bengal Jim, talking football with Bengal Jim and friends. And then Matt and Willie No Ball. So Bengals content every day. Like, subscribe, follow the whole thing. Kevin and I will be back next week. Who day?
Who day?